Hey everybody, just thought I'd give a bit of a quick update on a presentation I provided yesterday to the International Institute of Business Analysts around the role of the BA. So I'll take you through quickly what I spoke of. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Niall. I'm an Agile coach. This is the sort of stuff I've been up to most recently, documenting operating models, designing new ways of working around digitisation, working a lot with some global firms around bringing new thinking into Australia, trying to redesign how we work and the learning pathways for the certain types of roles to do with agile ways of working. So a lot of what I've been up to is informed this presentation, which target audience was business analysts, specifically around the role of the business analyst in building software. So I opened by talking about how things work in more of a handoff driven way, and how we've got to move away from that and move towards more modern ways of working. And I think that's a pretty obvious statement. But when you look at the emerging landscape, and Chris Webb's diagram here, is the point I was trying to make to the group is, where do you start? If you're a BA coming into this supposed new way of working, where do you start? I mean, the landscape is so broad and it's so wide. And what I soon found out by going to some of the other presentations was the BA body of knowledge is sort of their source of truth. Now, there's extensions to that talk about Agile, but if you look at this landscape, it can be quite overwhelming about what exactly are the things I would want to tease out or pick up as a BA to get with the modern way of working. And to a certain degree, the body of knowledge around BAs and all the Agile extensions does that, but I'm pretty sure it's not quite hitting the mark yet for a lot of people. So anyway, I moved on to how we need to work nowadays. And I just look, not that this diagram is perfect by any means, and some of my colleagues on LinkedIn would agree that this is a good thing to talk about, whether it's right or wrong. But the point is, where's the BA play in here? What is their role? Generally coming from creating large business requirement documents and being in a handoff driven world, where do they play now? What do they do? And what is the skill set they'll need? And what are their competencies that they'll have to play in this space? So most of the people at the crowd had heard of bits of this, but weren't really deeply intimate with what it all means for them and their role as things are changing around them. So, the things that we don't do anymore are really around BRDs being middle persons, being component BAs. This third one there, the third last one there, being a person that knows everything. I got a real sense that the BAs as a community are quite proud of the fact that they do have deep domain knowledge, and they are a source of wisdom on analysis, which is great. But I'm sort of starting to challenge people that having a single point of a person knowing everything versus a team or distributed knowledge is something that they need to think about. But anyway, that's the way that we used to be. And then I just put up a smorgasbord of, I suppose, catch terms and things that are going on in industry, and challenge people to really consider, if they haven't heard of what all this sort of stuff is, or they don't understand the majority of the terms on this board, then they're starting to lose touch with what's going out there in the market, and where the business analysis function, maybe not the role, is certainly going. So that was really just to challenge people's thinking. So really the guts of the conversation or the presentation was around three personas I start seeing emerging for software BAs. One's around being a mini CEO or the product owner type role, where you're designing a map, you're owning value. You're in charge, you're accountable, and you enjoy taking that on. Secondly, there's people that like to get stuff done. They're in a team, they're doers, they're very hands-on, they're delivering value. And then lastly, if you think of the type of stuff I do, which is helping people with their ways of working, helping the above two people deliver value and own their own value delivery organisation. So, that helper or coaching focus. And when I played this at a meetup the other day, some people started to say, hey, Noel, what about the relationship collaboration focus? And that's a fair point. I think that's more of a vertical that cuts across those roles, but certainly helping people connect and collaborate is a role that is going to be needed and could be a track of work. But, this isn't about you being one-dimensional. It's about having deep skills in one of these possibly, and then being able to touch left or right in a normal T-shaped type paradigm. So the point I was trying to make was that we have to start thinking about these as competencies or personas rather than the role of the BA, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Then briefly went into the personas and talked about them in a little bit more, added a little bit of meat onto those to try and help people tease out where they might fit in, personally, and start reframing themselves and their role. I suppose the takeaway for the whole presentation is I see the BA role, like the role of a BA being a hat, not a head. So people are over identifying with being a BA. I am a BA and I have a role in an organization. Well, the news flash is that most 2B operating models or target state ways of working and digital ways of working don't have the BA as a formal role. Not in the people I've been talking with. Most of it's into those three personas that go into product owners, coaches, or team members. So people need to have a look at that and consider having a BA competency or a hat, but don't over-identify with it too much. I briefly touched on other competency models around Agile, and the IC Agile one's there, and I'll put it up for conversation. I talked about mastery and how you have to start on this journey towards competency mastering around those personas, and you need to build up what I'm calling a playbook. So, looking at what it is in your portfolio of things that you do that will make you awesome into one of those personas so you can continue to add value in the digital world, as BAs need to let go of their over-identification with the role of the BA and look more at that competency model of building a playbook of activities and practices that they can bring. I close just by saying people need to reflect on what they want to do, get into meetups, get a coach, of course, and conduct personal retrospectives. Hopefully that was good. Hopefully you got a bit out of it. Reach out, say good day, get onto LinkedIn, connect with me. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.